TV5 News at 11.
It was back and forth for the entire 40 minutes, but the Wolverines' Cinderella run ends in the Sweet 16 with a heartbreaking 1-point loss. Thanks for joining us on this late edition of TV5 News. I'm David Custer. Colette is off tonight. As was the case throughout the tournament, Derek Walton Jr. took the final shot with hopes of winning the game at the final buzzer. But this time, it just wasn't meant to be. Let's go now to Sports Extra's Nick Austin for more on tonight's game. Nick.
Yeah, David, I mean, just a heartbreaking loss. A great season for the University of Michigan men's basketball team has come to an end. Competing in the Sweet 16 against Oregon, the Wolverines just didn't quite have enough. But John Beilein's team giving one heck of an effort, and they'd go down swinging. 4 minutes left, Wolverines down 2. Derek Walton Jr. hits the 3, had 20 points, 8 assists, 5 boards. Michigan with a 1-point advantage. Just over a minute left. It's 68-67, maize and blue. But Tyler Dorsey coming up large for the Ducks and quacking. They go up 69-68. Same score with under 10 ticks left. Walton for the win from deep. Off the mark. Michigan falls by a single point. There will be no Elite Eight. Sports director Scott Johnson was in Kansas City for the wild one that was tonight's game, and he joins us with more.
It was a fantastic game that featured 16 lead changes, but in the end, it's a bitter 1-point loss for the Michigan Wolverines. But still, the Wolverines had a fantastic season, even though it ends here in the Sweet 16.
Kids fought their heart out all these the whole season, but particularly these last 6 weeks to be really more than a story. It was a great team, and they were becoming a great team before the story. And so really proud of them.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, especially the second half of the season when we went on like a 14-2 run with wins, and later half of the season, you know, it just sucks that it's over. And, I mean, we're still a team, but I mean, we're just not playing games anymore.
It's been fun up until now. Just I don't know, I haven't really had this much fun playing basketball, but it sucks that it has to end like this.
Just very blessed to be a part of it all. It's an incredible run with, you know, lifelong friends, and you know that's what college athletics and sports in general is all about. And I feel very fortunate to be in this locker room with these guys.
You know, it was just a very selfless group, and you know, I had, you know, the joy of being a part of it and being one of the leaders. So, like I said, I just, you know, wish we could have more games to play together.
With all that Michigan has gone through this season, it is still a wonderful season for the Wolverines. Here in Kansas City, Scott Johnson, TV5 Sports.
All right, Scott, thank you. And while the Wolverines are understandably disappointed in heading home without a championship in tow, fans who made the trip to Kansas City will have a long ride back home as well. TV5's James Felton spoke with them after the game to see how they are coping with tonight's loss.
Thanks, guys. After the game, Wolverine fans spilled out here to the concourse at the Sprint Center. And obviously, they were not happy with the result.
Man, it hurts, you know. I don't know. Heartbroken.
That was a terrible loss. Well, you know, it's a tough loss, you know. They had the chance at the end, and it just didn't work out, you know.
We're not feeling great, but, you know, could have been a better game. I'll say that.
They went a lot farther than we ever thought they were going to go, and so I'm proud of them.
Well, it was just an incredible game. It was awesome. They fought all the way through. It was just amazing. But obviously, to not see that shot go down at the end was kind of a bummer.
He had the best shot he had. I mean, come on. If he makes that shot, it's all done.
We had a good run, man. We had a good run. It was good.
It was a great game, but obviously it wasn't the outcome that we wanted, but it was a hard-fought battle. So
they had a great season, magical run. Just too bad it ended this way.
Came down to 1 point, lost the basket at the end, but hey, go blue. You know, they made it all the way to the Sweet 16.
A 1-point loss, a heartbreaking way to end a magical run by the Michigan Wolverines. Reporting in Kansas City, Missouri, James Felton, WNEL, TV5.
Bummer is the word of the night. James, thank you. And Nick will have more from tonight's game, including some local basketball action still ahead in Sports Extra. The rainy weather is knocking on our doorstep as we look live over Flint and Bay City, and a rumble of thunder isn't out of the question overnight. Now here's Chief Meteorologist Brian Bachman with your forecast always in the first 10 minutes. Hi, Brian.
Hi there, David. That's right. Mother Nature keeping it interesting as she always does in the early stages of spring here in Michigan. In fact, some of that rain managing to punch through that dry air that was lingering in place, and we're seeing a little bit of residual moisture here on the I-69 corridor in Flint. A couple cars heading by. If you are an overnight traveler or even into the morning commute tomorrow, be prepared for those roads to, at the very least, be wet, and even still wouldn't be entirely out of the question, that is, to maybe even see a little bit of freezing rain, especially in our northern locations. But by and large, the heaviest rain in lower Michigan right now, ducking just through the southern portions of the area, maybe spilling as far north as about Gratiot County to about Alma right now. But you do see occasionally embedded in there, especially with one cell that's just beginning to come ashore from Lake Michigan, quite a bit in the way of scattered lightning strike activity. These storms will weaken as they roll through the area tonight. But as you can see, as we mentioned, a little bit of that heavier rain beginning to spill even into the Mount Pleasant and Alma areas right now. Just about to clip the Saginaw area. This will also move back through the Flint area, and the rest of us will start to get into some of the wetter conditions as the rest of the overnight period goes on. But here's where we worry about the potential for maybe some mixed precipitation or a little bit of that freezing rain. As we mentioned, a lot of our temperatures falling down into the 30s at this point, especially across the thumb, where we're down to about 35 in Caro, 34 in the Marlette area. That's where we, again, get close enough to freezing where you at least have to worry about the potential for a little bit of icing on some area roads. But as for the morning, no such threat by then. Temps rising back to the 40s by daybreak. We'll have scattered showers as you send the kids off to the bus stop, and they'll need the rain gear throughout the day. But notice how much milder it gets, flirting with, if not beating 60 in many locations. Full breakdown coming up in the full forecast.
Brian, thank you. He admitted to embezzling more than $18 million during his time as an executive of a credit union, and now he will spend the next decade in federal prison. It was a calculated crime spanning 12 years and considered one of the largest fraud cases in Metro Detroit's history. And today, Michael LaJoyce was handed the maximum punishment, 11 years in federal prison. TV5's Elena Holland reports.
Michael LaJoyce may have been best known in mid-Michigan as the owner of Chaussee Ballroom and Latin Dance Center in Fenton.
The dance instructors here were amazing people, and I'm sure they're hurt.
But he's also known for embezzling over $18 million from his employer to support a lavish lifestyle. Today, LaJoyce went before a judge and faced his future, 11 years in federal prison.
I feel sorry for him because his life isn't going to be the same.
LaJoyce turned himself in for the embezzlement in January of 2016. Court documents show he was the financial officer of the Clarkston-Brandon Community Credit Union, a position which allowed him to steal millions from the credit union over the span of 12 years.
Salary does not support the lifestyle that this defendant has led. I mean, just a review of his home that he owns in Fenton, a lifestyle of the rich and famous.
In addition to his lavish lifestyle, the dance studio he owned benefited from his embezzlement. As a result, the doors have now closed for good on the studio.
I want my money back, but I want my dance lessons.
A judge ruled LaJoyce will have to pay back over $18 million in restitution to his victims.
All right, that was Elena Holland reporting. Now you can find our complete coverage on the Michael LaJoyce trial on the homepage of WNEM.com. Live ammunition from the Civil War discovered inside a closed museum. We'll look at what police had to do to remove the artillery deemed live and unstable. And some local high schoolers with a bright future were recognized tonight as they presented their ideas for bettering the community.